The last train from Amsterdam pulls into Maastricht station at 7:43 p.m. The platform is nearly empty. A few stragglers grab their bags and rush toward the exit, eager to get home, eager to get warm, eager to get anywhere that isn't here. But one man doesn't move. Harry van der Berg, 65 years old, freshly retired and completely destroyed, steps off the train like he's walking through water. His movements are slow, deliberate, the kind of slow that comes from carrying too much weight that nobody else can see. He's got a hiking backpack strapped to his shoulders. It's green, weathered, packed tight with everything he owns now, which turns out isn't much. A few shirts, some pants, toiletries, a passport, his retirement papers, that's it. 42 years of marriage, and this is what he walks away with. A single bag and a heart that feels like someone took a cheese grater to it. The evening light filters through the station's glass ceiling, casting long shadows across the tiles. Harry stands there, breathing in the diesel and dust, watching the other passengers disappear through the turnstiles. He doesn't follow them. Because here's the thing about Harry van der Berg. He has nowhere to go. 3 weeks ago, Harry was a different man. He had a house, a beautiful 3-story townhouse in Amsterdam's Jordan district that he and his wife Ginny bought 30 years ago. He had savings, a comfortable nest egg built from 4 decades of grinding 12-hour shifts as an industrial engineer. He had a family, 3 grown children, 5 grandchildren, and a wife he thought would grow old beside him. He had a life. Then Ginny blew it all to pieces. The divorce papers arrived on his desk 2 days before his retirement party. 2 days, like she'd been counting down, waiting for the exact moment when he'd be most vulnerable, most unprepared. Harry remembers opening the envelope. Remembers the way his hands trembled as he read the words irreconcilable differences typed in cold, official font. Remembers thinking there must be some mistake, some cosmic clerical error. There wasn't. Ginny had been planning this for months, maybe years. While Harry worked late nights and early mornings, while he sacrificed weekends and holidays to provide for his family, his wife was busy draining their joint accounts, moving money into hidden places, building an escape route he never saw coming. And she wasn't escaping alone. Peter. That's the name of the man Ginny left him for. Peter, some smooth-talking businessman 15 years younger than Harry, with expensive suits and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. Harry met him once at a neighborhood barbecue, shook his hand, shared a beer with him. The whole time, Peter was sleeping with his wife. The whole time, Ginny was laughing behind Harry's back. Standing on the empty platform, Harry feels the familiar surge of anger rising in his chest. It's hot and sharp like swallowing glass. He wants to scream, wants to punch something, wants to rewind time and catch them in the act just so he could have the satisfaction of he stops himself. Because anger is what got him here. Anger is what made him yell at his children when they took their mother's side. Anger is what pushed everyone away until there was no one left. Harry closes his eyes and forces himself to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. A technique his doctor taught him after the blood pressure scare last month, back when stress was just a word, not a lifestyle. When he opens his eyes again, the platform is completely empty. Just him and the pigeons. The legal situation, as Harry's lawyer explained it, is brutally simple. Under Dutch law, marital assets get split 50-50. Doesn't matter that Harry earned most of the money. Doesn't matter that Ginny spent 3 decades finding herself through yoga retreats and expensive hobbies while he worked himself to the bone. The law sees them as equals, so the house has to be sold. The profits divided. Harry's pension, the one he's been paying into for 42 years, gets cut in half too. Ginny's entitled to her share, the court says. She was his partner. She supported his career by managing the household. Harry wanted to laugh when he heard that. Ginny didn't manage anything. The cleaning lady managed the household. The nanny raised the kids. Ginny managed her tennis lessons and her book clubs and her spiritual retreats that Harry now realizes were probably cover stories for meeting Peter. But the law doesn't care about details. The law just takes half. What hurts more than the money, though, is the children. Manon, Luca's, Aaron, Harry's 3 kids, the ones he coached through soccer practice and drove to music lessons. The ones he stayed up with during nightmares and helped with homework and supported through every crisis, big and small. They won't talk to him now. Ginny got to them first. fed them some story about how Harry was the one who wanted the divorce, how he'd been distant and cold for years, how he'd emotionally abandoned the family. It's all lies, of course, but Ginny's always been good at lies. She tells them with such conviction, such wounded sincerity, that even Harry sometimes wonders if he's the crazy one. The last time he tried calling Manon, his eldest, his little girl, the one who used to fall asleep in his arms, she let it ring through to voicemail. Lucas sent a text, "Dad, we need space right now." Aaron didn't respond at all. 42 years of being a father, and suddenly Harry's a stranger. An inconvenience, someone to be avoided. He's still standing on the platform when a voice cuts through the silence. "Sir, excuse me, sir." Harry turns. A young station attendant is walking toward him, clipboard in hand, concern etched on his face. "The station's closing soon," the attendant says. "Is everything all right? Do you need help finding somewhere to stay?" Harry looks at the kid, because that's what he is, really. A kid can't be more than 22 and feels something crack inside him. Do you need help finding somewhere to stay? Such a simple question, such an impossible answer. "I'm fine," Harry lies, "just waiting for someone." The attendant nods, unconvinced but too polite to push. "Well, there's a hotel across the street if you need it." "The Red Lion, tell them Stefan sent you, they'll give you a discount." "Thank you." Stefan walks away, glancing back once before disappearing through a staff door. Harry is alone again. He finds a bench near the platform's edge and sits down heavily. His knees ache. His back is stiff. 65 years of hard living are catching up with him, and he doesn't have the energy to outrun them anymore. From his jacket pocket, Harry pulls out his phone. The screen is cracked. He dropped it last week during a particularly bad night when the whiskey made his hands clumsy and the thoughts made them shake. He scrolls through his contacts, past the names of people who used to matter, until he lands on one. Miranda, Ginny's sister, which you'd think would make her the enemy. Blood is thicker than water and all that. But here's the twist. Miranda has always liked Harry more than she liked Ginny. She's told him as much. Multiple times, usually after a few glasses of wine at family gatherings when her tongue loosens and her opinions sharpen. "My sister is a piece of work," she'd say, shaking her head. "You deserve better, Harry, you always have." Harry didn't believe her then. He believes her now. 2 weeks ago, when everything was at its darkest, when Harry couldn't get out of bed, couldn't eat, couldn't see any point in continuing, Miranda showed up at his temporary apartment with a casserole and a bottle of scotch. "You look like hell," she said, pushing past him into the tiny studio. "When's the last time you showered?" Harry didn't answer, couldn't answer. Miranda set down the casserole, poured 2 glasses of scotch, and sat beside him on the lumpy couch that came with the rental. "Listen to me," she said, her voice soft but firm. "My sister is a selfish, manipulative woman. She's always been this way. Our mother spoiled her rotten, and she never grew out of it." "She took everything," Harry whispered. "The house, the money, the kids. The house and money are just things. Things can be replaced. As for the kids," Miranda paused, choosing her words carefully, "they'll come around once they see through her lies. They won't, they believe her, they think I'm the villain." Miranda took a long sip of scotch. "Then show them you're not." "How?" She turned to face him, her eyes, so different from Ginny's, warmer somehow, more honest, boring into his. "By living," she said simply. "By not letting this destroy you. By getting up, walking out that door, and proving that Harry Van der Berg is stronger than anything my sister can throw at him." Harry remembers that conversation now, sitting on the cold bench in Maastricht Station. Miranda's words echo in his head, mixing with the sound of distant trains and the cooing of pigeons. "What do you want, Harry?" she'd asked him that night. "Do you want to spend the rest of your life mourning a marriage that was already dead? Or do you want to start over, find something new?" He didn't have an answer then, but he has one now. Harry reaches into his backpack and pulls out a small booklet. It's worn at the edges, the cover faded from years of handling. Inside are stamps and signatures from churches and hostels across Europe, a pilgrim's passport. The Camino de Santiago. It's something Harry's dreamed about since he was a young man, walking across Spain to the ancient cathedral where St. James is supposedly buried. Finding meaning in the journey. Finding peace in the steps. He never did it, of course. There was always work, always responsibility, always something more important than his own dreams. But now there's nothing holding him back. No job, no wife, no children who want to see him, just a broken heart and an open road. Harry stands up from the bench. His legs protest, stiff from sitting, but he ignores them. He adjusts his backpack straps, tightens the hip belt, feels the familiar weight settle against his spine. The sun has set completely now. Maastricht Station is bathed in the yellow glow of fluorescent lights, harsh and unforgiving. But beyond the station, beyond the city, beyond the borders of this country that holds so many painful memories, there's a path that leads south, through Belgium, through France, over the Pyrenees, into Spain, a path that ends at the edge of the world, Finisterre. The name means end of the earth in Latin. The ancient Romans thought it was literally the edge of existence, the place where land stopped and infinity began. Harry doesn't know if he'll find answers there, doesn't know if the walk will heal him or break him completely. But he knows he has to try, because staying here, drowning in grief and anger and self-pity, that's not living, that's just dying slowly. He takes one last look at the empty platform, at the ticket machines and the departure boards and all the infrastructure of a life he's leaving behind. Then Harry van der Burg squares his shoulders, steps through the turnstile and walks into the night. His shadow stretches long behind him. Ahead the road waits, 3 weeks earlier. Amsterdam is gray today. Gray sky, gray buildings. Gray faces on the gray streets. And in a gray apartment on the 5th floor of a gray building, Harry van der Burg sits in the dark and waits to disappear. He hasn't left the apartment in 14 days. The blinds are drawn. The lights are off. Empty takeout containers pile up on the coffee table like a monument to his failures. The whole place smells like stale food and unwashed sheets. Harry doesn't care. He's been lying on the couch for hours, maybe days. He's lost track, staring at the water stains on the ceiling and trying to figure out where it all went wrong. Was it the long hours at work, the missed birthdays and anniversaries, the way he always put duty before desire? Or was Ginny always like this and he just refused to see it? That's the question that keeps him up at night, the one that makes his stomach churn and his fists clench. Did he fail his marriage, or was his marriage always a lie? The truth, Harry is starting to realize, is somewhere in between. Ginny changed after menopause, or maybe she didn't change. Maybe she just stopped pretending. Either way, the woman Harry married at 23 was not the woman who served him divorce papers at 65. That young bride with the easy laugh and the warm eyes had transformed, year by year, into someone cold, distant, perpetually dissatisfied. Nothing Harry did was ever enough. He worked more. She complained he was never home. He worked less. She complained about money. He suggested vacations, date nights, couples therapy. She dismissed them all with a wave of her hand and a roll of her eyes. "You don't understand me," she'd say. "You never have." And maybe she was right. Maybe Harry never did understand her, but he tried. God knows he tried. He just didn't realize she'd stopped trying decades ago. The doorbell rings. Harry ignores it. It rings again. He pulls the blanket over his head. Then comes the knocking, sharp, insistent, impossible to ignore. "Harry, open this door right now, or I swear to God I'll call the fire department to break it down." Miranda's voice. Loud and bossy, and exactly what Harry doesn't want to hear. He groans into the couch cushion. "Go away. Don't test me, Harry van der Burg. I have a casserole and I'm not afraid to use it." Despite everything, despite the crushing weight in his chest and the fog in his brain, Harry feels the corner of his mouth twitch. Leave it to Miranda to threaten someone with comfort food. He drags himself off the couch and shuffles to the door. When he opens it, Miranda's face falls. "Oh, Harry," she breathes. "Oh, sweetie." He knows he looks terrible. 2 weeks of neglect will do that to a person. His beard has grown wild and patchy. His hair stands up in greasy spikes. His eyes are bloodshot, ringed with dark circles that make him look like he's been punched. Miranda doesn't comment on any of it. She simply pushes past him, sets her casserole on the cluttered counter, and starts opening windows. "It smells like a tomb in here," she mutters. "When's the last time you let some air in?" Harry sinks back onto the couch. "What are you doing here, Miranda? What does it look like? I'm staging an intervention." She yanks open the blinds, flooding the room with harsh daylight. Harry winces and shields his eyes. "Giles wanted to come too, but I told him this requires a woman's touch." Giles. Miranda's husband. A solid, dependable man who's been Harry's closest friend for nearly 40 years. They went to university together, shared an apartment in their 20s, stood as best men at each other's weddings. Giles was the one who first introduced Harry to the sisters, Miranda and Ginny, daughters of a wealthy Rotterdam family. He married Miranda within a year. Harry took longer with Ginny, should have taken forever, he thinks bitterly. Miranda finishes her assault on the apartment's stuffiness and comes to sit beside Harry on the couch. She doesn't say anything at first, just sits there close enough that their shoulders almost touch. Finally, "Tell me what you're feeling." Harry laughs, a hollow, mirthless sound. "What am I feeling? Let's see, betrayed. Humiliated, stupid, angry, so angry I can barely see straight." He pauses, swallowing hard. "And sad, so goddamn sad, Miranda, 42 years, I gave her 42 years. I know. I did everything right, I worked hard, I came home every night, I never cheated, never even looked at another woman. I know. And this is what I get," his voice cracks. "This is how it ends. She runs off with some con man and turns my own children against me." Miranda's hand finds his, squeezes. "My sister," she says quietly, "has always been selfish. Even when we were girls, she'd steal my toys, blame me for things she did, manipulate our parents into giving her whatever she wanted. I thought she'd grow out of it." She shakes her head. "She didn't, she just got better at hiding it." "Then why did you let me marry her? Would you have listened if I'd tried to stop you?" Harry thinks about that, about the young man he used to be, drunk on love and optimism. "No," he admits, "probably not." "Exactly," Miranda sighs. "You had to learn this for yourself, Harry, the hard way, unfortunately, but now that you know." She turns to face him, her eyes fierce. "What are you going to do about it?" That question hangs in the air between them. What is he going to do? The obvious answer is nothing, lie here, rot, let grief consume him until there's nothing left. But that's not really an answer, is it? That's just surrender. Harry thinks about his children. Manon, his firstborn, who used to make him Father's Day cards covered in glitter and misspelled love. Lucas, his middle child, the quiet one who showed affection through actions rather than words. Aaron, the baby, now 33 but still the kid who used to climb into Harry's lap during thunderstorms. They think he's the villain now. Ginny's made sure of that. But what if they learned the truth? What if they saw the divorce papers, the ones Ginny filed, not Harry? What if they learned about Peter, about the money she stole, about the web of lies she spun? Would they believe it? Would they care? Or would they stay loyal to their mother no matter what? "I want to disappear," Harry says suddenly. Miranda frowns. "What do you mean?" "Not forever. Just, for a while, I need to get away from all of this, clear my head, figure out who I am without." He gestures vaguely at the apartment, at Amsterdam, at everything. "Without all of this." "Okay," Miranda says slowly. "And where would you go?" Harry reaches for his phone. Scrolls through his photos until he finds the one he's looking for, an image of a weathered stone marker, the kind you see along ancient walking trails. The Camino de Santiago. "I've always wanted to do this," he says, showing her. "Walk across Spain to Santiago. It's about 800 kilometers from the French border. Takes most people 5 or 6 weeks. Miranda studies the photo. "That's a long walk for a man your age." "I know. With bad knees. I know. And a heart condition. It's under control." She looks at him, really looks at him, and Harry sees something shift in her expression. The worry softens into something like respect. "You're serious about this," she says. "Dead serious." Miranda is quiet for a long moment, then she nods. "Okay," she says. "Then let's get you ready." The next week is a blur of activity. Harry emerges from his cocoon of grief and throws himself into preparation. He buys proper hiking boots, breaks them in with long walks around the city. He researches hostels and trail conditions. He gets a physical from his doctor, who cautions him about his blood pressure but ultimately clears him for moderate exercise. Miranda helps with the logistics. She convinces Giles to reach out to the children to plant seeds of doubt about Ginny's version of events. She helps Harry set up a new bank account that Ginny can't access. She even finds him a good lawyer, a shark named Hendrika who specializes in divorce cases and promises to fight for every euro Harry deserves. It's exhausting work, but it's also healing. Because for the first time since the divorce papers arrived, Harry has a purpose, a goal. Something to focus on besides the wreckage of his marriage. The night before Harry leaves, Miranda and Giles host a small dinner at their house. It's just the three of them, a quiet meal of roast chicken and good wine, eaten at the old oak table where Harry has shared 1,000 meals over the years. "To new beginnings," Giles says, raising his glass. "To survival," Miranda adds. Harry clinks his glass against theirs. "To finding out what comes next." They eat, they drink. They reminisce about better times, the camping trips, the birthday parties, the Christmas dinners back when the whole family was still whole. Around 10 o'clock, Harry starts gathering his things. "You don't have to go tonight," Miranda protests. "Stay in the guest room, get a good night's sleep." "I need to catch the early train to Maastricht," Harry says. "It's the easiest route to the border." He doesn't mention the real reason. Staying here feels too comfortable, too tempting. If he spends another night surrounded by warmth and friendship, he might lose his nerve entirely. Better to leave now while the momentum is still pushing him forward. At the door, Miranda pulls him into a tight hug. "Call us," she whispers. "Every few days at least, let us know you're alive." "I will." "And Harry," she pulls back, holding him at arm's length. "What do you want, really, when you imagine your life after all this is over? What does it look like?" He thinks about the question. Really thinks, "I want to stop being angry," he says finally. "I want to find some peace, and I want—" He pauses, almost embarrassed to say it out loud. "I want to believe that happiness is still possible, even at my age, even after everything." Miranda smiles. It's a sad smile, tinged with worry, but there's hope in it too. "Then go find it," she says. "Walk until your feet blister and your mind clears. And when you come back, because you will come back, Harry, I'm not letting you die on some Spanish mountainside. We'll be here, all of us, waiting to welcome you home." Harry steps out into the cool Amsterdam night. The canal gleams under the streetlights, dark water rippling with reflected light. Bicycles lean against the bridges. The old buildings stand shoulder to shoulder, the same as they've stood for centuries. He's lived in this city his whole adult life, and now he's leaving it behind. Harry adjusts his backpack, takes a deep breath, and starts walking toward the train station. Behind him, Miranda stands in the doorway, watching. She doesn't wave, doesn't call out. Just watches until he turns the corner and disappears from view. Maastricht Station, 6:47 a.m. The platform is cold and wet with morning mist. Harry steps off the overnight train, his joints stiff from sleeping upright in a second-class seat. His breath clouds in the chill air. Around him, a handful of other passengers shuffle toward the exits, heads bowed, eyes glazed with sleep. This is it. The starting point. From here, Harry will cross into Belgium, then Luxembourg, then France, following ancient pilgrimage routes toward the Spanish border. Weeks of walking. Thousands of kilometers. Just him, his backpack, and whatever ghosts he can't outrun. He takes a moment to orient himself, studies the departure board. Calculates the walking route that will take him south toward the Belgian border town of Idstein. Then from somewhere behind him, a voice calls out. A voice he knows, a voice he hasn't heard in months. "Dad!" Harry freezes. For a second, he thinks he's imagining it. His tired mind playing tricks, conjuring the sounds he most wants and most fears to hear. But when he turns around, it's real. Lucas van der Berg stands at the far end of the platform, looking like he hasn't slept in days. His dark hair is disheveled. His jacket is rumpled. His eyes, Harry's eyes, everyone always said, are wide with uncertainty. Behind him, running to catch up, is Aaron, the youngest, still baby-faced at 33, still gangly, still the kid who could never quite keep up with his siblings. They're both here, at 6 in the morning, in Maastricht. How did they know? Harry's first instinct is to walk away, just turn around, put one foot in front of the other, and pretend he didn't see them. It would be easy. They're 50 meters away. He could reach the exit before they catch up, disappear into the morning fog, and never look back. But his legs won't move. Because despite everything, despite the months of silence, the ignored calls, the bitter betrayal of being abandoned by his own flesh and blood, Harry still loves these boys. He's their father. Nothing changes that. Lucas reaches him first. "Dad!" The word comes out breathless, almost desperate. "Dad, please, just wait, please." Harry studies his middle son's face. Sees the dark circles under his eyes, the nervous twitch in his jaw, the way his hands keep opening and closing at his sides like he doesn't know what to do with them. "How did you find me?" Harry asks. His voice comes out colder than he intended, but he doesn't apologize for it. "Aunt Miranda, she called last night, told us you were leaving the country." Miranda, of course. Harry files that information away for later. Right now, he has more pressing concerns. "And you came all the way here to what exactly?" He feels the old anger stirring, the hurt bubbling up through the cracks. "To see me off? To deliver one more message from your mother? Or did you just want to watch me walk out of your lives in person?" Lucas flinches like he's been slapped. "Dad, that's not. Because that's what happened, Lucas. Let's be clear about that." Harry's voice rises despite himself. Months of suppressed pain finally finding an outlet. I called you, all of you, dozens of times, and you ignored me, blocked my number, treated me like I was some kind of disease to be avoided. Aaron arrives, panting slightly, eyes already wet. Dad, your mother told you I was the bad guy and you believed her, without question, without even hearing my side. Harry's laugh is bitter, sharp-edged. 40 years of being your father and that's all it takes. One conversation with her and suddenly I'm nothing. We made a mistake, Lucas says quietly. A horrible mistake, we know that now. Oh, you know now? How convenient. What changed? Did she finally get too greedy for even you to ignore? The words hang in the cold air between them. Harry sees the impact land, sees Lucas's shoulders slump, Aaron's head bow. Part of him feels satisfied, a petty, vindictive part that he's not proud of. But mostly he just feels tired, so goddamn tired. Dad! Lucas's voice is barely a whisper. Please, let us explain. Just 5 minutes, that's all we ask. I don't have 5 minutes, I have a pilgrimage to start. Then let us walk with you, or wait, that's not. Lucas fumbles in his jacket pocket, pulls out his phone. There's someone who wants to talk to you, will you just please? He extends the phone toward Harry. The screen shows an incoming call from Aunt Miranda. Harry stares at the phone like it might bite him. Miranda's face smiles up from the contact photo, a picture from some family gathering years ago before everything fell apart. She's laughing at something off camera, her eyes crinkled with joy. Harry remembers that day, a birthday party for one of the grandkids. Everyone was there. Everyone was happy. It feels like a lifetime ago. The phone keeps ringing. Please, Dad, Aaron speaks for the first time. His voice cracks on the word. Just hear her out. Against his better judgment, Harry takes the phone, presses accept. Miranda, Harry. Her voice is warm through the speaker, but there's an edge to it, an urgency. I know you're angry, you have every right to be, but don't walk away from those boys, not yet. You told them where I was. Yes, I did, because they needed to find you before you disappeared for 6 weeks. That wasn't your call to make. Maybe not, but I made it anyway. A pause. Harry, listen to me. They came to us last week, all 3 of them, Manon too. They know, Harry, they know the truth about Ginny, everything. Harry's grip tightens on the phone. What truth? The divorce papers, the money, Peter, all of it. Miranda's voice softens. Giles and I, we told them, showed them the evidence. They didn't want to believe it at first, but Harry, they believe it now, and they're devastated, absolutely devastated by how they treated you. Harry looks up at his sons. They're watching him with matching expressions of desperate hope. Like drowning men waiting for a rope. They want to apologize, Miranda continues. To make things right. The 3 of them rented a house nearby. They've been waiting for you since yesterday, hoping to catch you before you left. Will you give them a chance, for me if not for yourself? Harry doesn't answer immediately. He's thinking about all those unanswered calls, all those ignored texts. The weeks of silence that felt like being buried alive. But he's also thinking about Manon as a toddler, reaching up to hold his hand. Lucas at 15, awkwardly asking for relationship advice. Aaron at 20, crying at his grandfather's funeral, grateful that his father was there to hold him. 40 years of being a father. Is he really going to throw that away because of a few months of mistakes? Where's this house? Harry asks quietly. Miranda gives him the address. A rental property in Hulsberg, a small town about 20 minutes south. Go with them, she says. Hear them out, and if you still want to leave after that, well, then leave, but at least you'll go knowing you gave them a chance. Harry ends the call. Hands the phone back to Lucas. The 2 young men, young to Harry anyway, though they're both pushing 40, watch him with barely concealed anxiety. Fine, Harry says. Take me to this house. The drive to Hulsberg is excruciating. Harry sits in the back of Lucas's Volvo, staring out the window at the passing countryside. Rolling hills, green fields. The occasional farmhouse, smoke rising from the chimney. Nobody speaks. Lucas keeps glancing at Harry in the rearview mirror like he wants to say something but can't find the words. Aaron sits in the passenger seat, his knee bouncing nervously, his fingers drumming against his thigh. The silence stretches. Finally, Lucas clears his throat. We should have listened to you, Dad. Back when it all started, we should have asked questions instead of just, don't. Harry's voice is quiet but firm. Not now, we'll talk at the house with your sister. Manon's already there, she drove down last night. Harry nods. Doesn't trust himself to say more. Manon, his firstborn, his little girl. She was always the closest to him, the one who understood him best. When she turned against him, when she stopped answering his calls, stopped responding to his emails, stopped acting like he existed, that was the wound that cut deepest. Even now, the thought of facing her makes Harry's chest tight with competing emotions: hope and fear, love and hurt. The desperate wish that things could be different, warring with the certainty that some betrayals can never be undone. They arrive at the rental house just after 8 o'clock. It's a modest place, a traditional Limburg cottage with white walls and a slate roof, surrounded by a small garden. Quiet, private, the kind of place where difficult conversations can happen without an audience. Lucas parks the car, kills the engine. "She's inside," he says. "Manon, she wanted to be the first one, you see." Harry unbuckles his seatbelt. His hands are trembling slightly, and he hates that. Hates that after everything, the prospect of seeing his daughter can still make him shake like a scared child. "Okay," he says. "Let's get this over with." He walks up the garden path alone. The front door is painted green. There's a welcome mat on the steps, slightly crooked. Through the window, Harry can see the glow of lights, the suggestion of movement inside. He reaches for the doorbell. Before he can press it, the door swings open. And there she is. Manon. She looks older than he remembers. There are new lines around her eyes, new threads of gray in her dark hair. She's wearing a simple sweater and jeans, no makeup, no pretense, and she's crying. Great, heaving sobs that shake her whole body, tears streaming down her cheeks, her face twisted with an anguish that mirrors Harry's own. "Daddy," she chokes out. It's the word she used to call him as a child. The word she stopped using around age 12 when she decided she was too grown up for such things. She hasn't called him Daddy in 30 years. "Daddy, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And then she's in his arms. The kitchen of the Hulsberg rental smells like coffee and regret. Harry sits at the wooden table, his hands wrapped around a ceramic mug, watching steam curl up toward the ceiling. Around him, his 3 children have arranged themselves like defendants at a trial. Manon directly across from him, Lucas to his left, Aaron to his right. Nobody's spoken since the initial flood of apologies. Manon cried for 10 minutes straight, clutching Harry like he might disappear if she let go. Lucas stood in the doorway, blinking back his own tears. Aaron hovered awkwardly, alternating between wanting to join the hug and wanting to give them space. Now they've settled into an uneasy silence. The morning light filters through lace curtains, casting delicate patterns on the table. Outside, birds sing. Inside, hearts hammer. Finally, Harry breaks the spell. "Talk to me," he says. "Tell me what happened." Manon takes a shaky breath. "It started with Uncle Giles," she begins. "He invited all 3 of us to dinner last week at their place in Nijmegen." She glances at her brothers as if for confirmation. They nod. "We thought it was just a normal family thing, but then Miranda and Giles sat us down and..." Her voice cracks. She swallows hard. "They showed us the divorce papers, Dad, the original ones." "The ones Mom actually filed." Harry's jaw tightens. "She told you I filed." "Yes," Lucas this time. "She said you'd been planning it for months, that you wanted out of the marriage, that you'd been..." He hesitates, shame coloring his cheeks. "She said you'd been having an affair with someone at work." "There was no affair," Harry says flatly. "There was never anyone but your mother." "We know that now." Aaron's voice is small. "We're sorry, Dad, we're so sorry." Manon continues the story. "Uncle Giles was furious with us. I've never seen him like that. He asked us, demanded to know where we thought Mom was all those years we were growing up." She pauses, her eyes distant. "He asked who made our lunches, who drove us to practice, who stayed up with us when we were sick." "It was always you," Lucas says quietly. "Always, Dad. Mom was never there. She was always busy or tired or somewhere else." "We didn't see it," Aaron adds. "Or we did, but we didn't think about what it meant. We just accepted it as normal. Mom was the fun one, the glamorous one, the one who swooped in for birthdays and holidays. You were just..." "The boring one," Harry supplies, not unkindly. "The one who was always there." His children wince at the characterization, but they don't argue because it's true. "Miranda showed us the bank records," Manon says. "From the joint account, the withdrawals Mom made in the months before the divorce. Tens of thousands of euros, just gone, transferred to accounts we'd never heard of." "She was planning her escape," Harry says. "Building herself a nest egg while I worked double shifts to cover unexpected expenses." "And Peter," Lucas nearly spits the name. "We didn't know about him, not really. Mom introduced him as a business associate, someone helping her with investments." He laughs bitterly. "Some investment. When did you find out the truth? At the dinner, Miranda had hired a private investigator. Manon's cheeks flush. She didn't tell us at first. She wanted to be sure before she made accusations, but she found evidence, photos, hotel receipts, messages between Mom and Peter going back 3 years. 3 years. Harry feels the number settle into his gut like a stone. 3 years his wife was sleeping with another man, 3 years of lies. Why didn't you call me? Harry asks. After you found out, why wait until I was leaving? The siblings exchange guilty looks. We wanted to, Aaron says, right away, but we were ashamed, Manon interrupts. Ashamed of how we treated you, how we believed her without question, her voice breaks. How we abandoned you when you needed us most. We didn't know what to say, Lucas adds. Sorry seemed too small. And we were afraid. Afraid of what? That you wouldn't forgive us. The words hang in the air. Harry looks at his children, really looks at them, at the guilt in their eyes, the tension in their shoulders, the way they're all leaning slightly toward him like plants seeking sunlight. They're scared. His grown, adult children are scared that their father won't love them anymore. Harry sets down his coffee mug. Come here, he says. They don't move, just stare at him with wide, uncertain eyes. All of you, come here. This time they obey. Manon reaches him first, falling into his arms like she did at the door. Lucas follows, his long arms encircling both his father and his sister. Aaron completes the circle, pressing his forehead against Harry's shoulder. For a long moment, nobody speaks. They just hold each other. 40 years of family, 40 years of love, imperfect, messy, sometimes painful, but real, still real. When they finally pull apart, everyone's crying. Harry wipes his eyes with the back of his hand, clears his throat, tries to remember how to form words. I forgive you, he says. All of you, I need you to understand that. Dad, let me finish. He holds up a hand. What you did, believing your mother, taking her side, it hurt. It hurt more than anything in my life, but I understand why you did it. She's your mother, of course you believed her. He pauses, searching for the right words. The anger I felt, it wasn't really at you. It was at her, at the situation, at losing everything I'd worked for. You didn't lose us, Aaron insists. Not really, we're here now. Yes, Harry agrees. You are. They spend the next hour talking, really talking for the first time in months. The children tell Harry about their own lives, the struggles they've been facing while pretending everything was fine. Manon's having troubles in her marriage. Her husband Dirk has been distant lately, and she's worried history is repeating itself. Lucas's business is struggling. He's been working 18-hour days trying to keep it afloat. Aaron's wife just announced she's pregnant with their third child, and while it's happy news, the financial pressure is terrifying. Harry listens. And as he listens, he realizes something important. His children aren't just here to apologize. They're here because they need him. Because despite their mistakes, despite the months of silence, they still see him as their father, their rock. The person who's always been there when things got hard. That means something. That means everything. Around noon, Manon makes sandwiches. The four of them eat at the kitchen table, just like they used to when the kids were young. Harry notices how Lucas still cuts off his crusts, how Aaron talks with his mouth full, how Manon automatically makes her sandwich exactly the way Harry likes it, ham, cheese, extra mustard, a single slice of pickle. Some habits never die. So, Lucas says, wiping crumbs from his mouth, this pilgrimage. You're really doing it? I am. All the way to Santiago and beyond to Finisterre, Aaron whistles. That's what, 1,000 kilometers. Something like that. The siblings exchange looks. We can't stop you, Manon says finally. And honestly, I don't think we should try. If this is what you need, then. She reaches across the table and squeezes his hand. Go, walk your walk. Find whatever you're looking for. Just promise you'll come back to us. I promise. After lunch, the children present Harry with gifts. First, a new smartphone, top of the line, loaded with maps, translation apps, emergency contacts. We're getting rid of your old one, Lucas explains. Uncle Giles thinks Mom might have installed some kind of tracking software. This one's clean. New number, new everything. Harry accepts the phone, touched by the thoughtfulness. Thank you. Second, a necklace. Aaron hands it over almost shyly, a simple gold chain with a medallion depicting a bearded figure carrying a child. Saint Christopher, Aaron explains, the patron saint of travelers. I know you're not really religious, but, he shrugs. I thought it might bring you luck. Harry turns the medallion over in his fingers. The gold catches the light, warm and reassuring. I'll wear it every day, he says. I promise. They drive together to Idstone, the small border town where Harry will officially begin his walk. The afternoon sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. The Church of St. Michael stands at the town's center, its ancient bells silent. This is where the road begins. This is where Harry's old life ends and his new one starts. At the edge of the village, where the pavement gives way to a dirt trail leading south into Belgium, the four of them stand in a circle. Call us, Manon says. Every few days, let us know you're okay. I will. And don't push yourself too hard, Lucas adds. If you need rest, take rest. There's no medal for destroying your knees. I'll be careful. Aaron steps forward and pulls Harry into a fierce hug. I love you, Dad. Come home safe. I love you too, all of you. One by one, they release him. Harry adjusts his backpack straps, touches the St. Christopher medallion at his chest. Takes a deep breath of fresh autumn air. The trail stretches out before him, a narrow path winding through golden fields toward distant hills. Somewhere beyond those hills lies Belgium, then France, then the mountains of the Pyrenees, then Spain. Then Santiago, then Finisterre, then whatever comes next. Harry turns back once. His children are still standing at the village's edge, watching him go. Manon has her arm around Aaron. Lucas stands slightly apart, hands in his pockets, but his eyes never leave his father's retreating form. Harry raises his hand in farewell. They wave back. Then he turns around and starts walking. The first steps are the hardest. His body protests, legs stiff, feet uncertain, the weight of the pack settling awkwardly on his shoulders. But after a few hundred meters, something shifts. His stride lengthens, his breathing steadies. His mind, for the first time in months, begins to quiet. He's leaving everything behind. The pain, the betrayal, the grief. No, not leaving, carrying. Because you can't outrun your past, you can only learn to bear its weight. But as Harry walks toward the horizon, as the village of Idstone shrinks behind him and the open road stretches ahead, he feels something he hasn't felt in a very long time. Hope. Not the naive hope of youth, the kind that believes everything will work out because it has to. This is something harder, more earned. The hope of a man who has lost everything and discovered that he's still standing. Harry van der Berg walks into the afternoon light. His shadow stretches before him, pointing the way forward. And somewhere deep in his chest, despite everything, despite the shattered marriage and the depleted savings and the years of wasted devotion, his heart begins to beat again. Steady, strong, alive. The trail stretches out before Harry like a promise. Day 1, Belgium. He's been walking for 6 hours now and his feet are already screaming. The hiking boots, supposedly pre-broken in, are apparently liars. Every step sends a small jolt of pain through his heels, but Harry doesn't stop. The countryside unfolds around him in shades of green and gold, rolling farmland, ancient stone walls. Cows grazing lazily in meadows still wet with morning dew. The air smells like grass and manure and something else, something clean, something free. This is what he came for. The first week is the hardest, not physically, though that's brutal too, but mentally. Harry discovers that walking alone for 8, 10, 12 hours a day gives a man way too much time to think, and his thoughts are not kind. They circle back to Ginny, always Ginny. Her face when she handed him those divorce papers, her voice on the phone, cold and dismissive. The way she'd looked at him in those final months, like he was furniture, like he was nothing. Harry walks faster as if he can outrun the memories. He can't. At night, in cramped hostels and cheap B&Bs, the loneliness hits hardest. He lies awake listening to other pilgrims snore, staring at water-stained ceilings, replaying every mistake he ever made. Should he have worked less? Paid more attention, seen the signs earlier? The questions are endless. The answers don't exist. One night somewhere in the Belgian Ardennes, Harry finds himself crying into his pillow like a child. Great heaving sobs that shake his whole body. He muffles them with the fabric, terrified of waking the German couple in the next bunk. It's pathetic. He's 65 years old and he's crying in a hostel. But somehow, when the tears finally stop, he feels lighter, like something poisonous has been drained out. 2 weeks in. The Belgium-Luxembourg border. Harry reaches a small hilltop just as dawn breaks. He's been walking since 5 a.m., unable to sleep, driven by some restless energy he can't name. Now he stops, breathing hard, and watches the sun rise over the valley below. It's beautiful, painfully, achingly beautiful. Mist rolls through the lowlands like slow rivers of cotton. The first rays of light catch the church steeples of distant villages, turning them gold. Somewhere a rooster crows. Then another, then a chorus of them welcoming the day. Harry sits down on an old stone bench, probably placed here 100 years ago by some farmer who knew this view was worth pausing for, and something inside him breaks, not in a bad way, in a necessary way. The tears come again, but different this time. These aren't tears of grief or anger. These are tears of release, of acceptance. Of finally letting go. He cries for his marriage, for the man he used to be, for the years he wasted trying to fix something that was never his to fix. He cries for his children and the months he lost with them. He cries for himself, for the lonely kid who became a lonely man who became a lonely old fool sitting on a bench at the edge of the world. When it's over, Harry wipes his face with the back of his hand and takes a deep breath. The sun is fully up now. The mist is burning away. The day is beginning, and for the first time in months, Harry feels something that might be hope. That evening he reaches Schengen. Yes, that's Schengen, the tiny Luxembourg village that gave its name to the famous European agreement. Harry finds it almost comically small. A few houses, a museum, a monument to borderless travel. The hostel has Wi-Fi, Harry's first real internet connection in 2 weeks. He finds a quiet corner, pulls out the smartphone his children gave him, and opens the video chat app. 3 faces appear on screen almost instantly. They must have been waiting. "Dad!" Manon's voice is bright with relief. "You're alive?" "Of course I'm alive," Harry laughs. "Did you think I'd be eaten by wolves?" "Belgium doesn't have wolves," Lucas says dryly. "Luxembourg might," Aaron offers. "Luxembourg definitely doesn't have wolves," Lucas sighs. Harry grins. God, he's missed them. The conversation flows easily for the next half hour. Harry tells them about the countryside, the blisters, the weird German guy at the last hostel who insisted on showing everyone his foot calluses. The kids laugh. They share updates from home. Manon's daughter lost her first tooth. Luca's closed a big deal at work. Aaron's wife is past the worst of her morning sickness. Normal family stuff. The kind of stuff Harry thought he'd never have again. Then Manon's expression shifts. "Dad, there's something we need to tell you." Harry's stomach tightens. "What is it?" "It's about Mom." Manon pauses, choosing her words carefully. "She's been asking questions about where you are." "Asking who?" "Everyone, us obviously, we told her nothing. But she's also been calling around to your old colleagues, your gym buddies, even that guy you used to play chess with." "Willem?" "Yeah, she's obsessed, Dad. Uncle Giles thinks she might be trying to track you down through your old phone." Harry glances at the device in his hand, the new one, the clean one. "I got rid of the old phone," he says. "You know that." "We know." But Giles says to be careful anyway. She's desperate. The court's pressuring her to sell the house, and she's looking for any way to stall. Harry processes this. The familiar anger flickers, then fades. "Let her look," he says quietly. "I'm not hiding, I'm just walking." After the call ends, Harry sits alone in the hostel common room. The St. Christopher medal hangs warm against his chest. Aaron's gift, worn every day since Idstone. He touches it absently, thinking about his children, about how far they've come, about how lucky he is to have them back. Ginny can scheme all she wants. She's already lost. Harry pulls out his pilgrim passport and studies the stamps he's collected so far. 5 of them from 5 different stops along the way. Each one a small victory, each one proof that he's moving forward. Outside the window, the sun sets over Luxembourg. Tomorrow, France. The next morning, Harry shoulders his pack and starts walking south. His feet still hurt. His back still aches. His 65-year-old body still protests every hill and every cobblestone. But something has changed. The weight he's been carrying, the invisible weight, the one that matters, feels lighter now. Not gone, but lighter, manageable. Like a backpack he's finally learned to wear properly. Harry walks through fields of sunflowers, past medieval churches, along rivers that have been flowing since before his grandparents were born. He thinks about the past, but he doesn't drown in it. He thinks about the future, and for the first time he's curious what it might hold. The road stretches on. Harry follows it, one step at a time. Meanwhile, back in Amsterdam, Manon van der Burg is making coffee when her phone buzzes. She glances at the screen, frowns, considers not answering. The phone buzzes again. "Hello, Mother." "Manon." "Darling," Ginny's voice is honey-sweet, the fake kind, the kind that gives you cavities. "I've been trying to reach you for days. Are you avoiding me?" "I've been busy." Too busy for your own mother. Manon takes a slow breath, reminds herself that murder is illegal. What do you want, Mom? Can't a mother want to see her children? I thought we could have coffee. All of us, you Lucas, Aaron. Like old times. Old times, Manon repeats flatly. You mean before you destroyed our family? Silence on the line. Then, that's not fair, Manon. You don't know the whole story. I know enough. Please. Ginny's voice drops, turning plaintive, wounded. I'm all alone now. Peter's been... Well, there have been some difficulties. I just want to see my children. Is that so wrong? Manon knows this game. She's watched her mother play it for 40 years. But she also knows that refusing outright will only make Ginny more suspicious, more desperate, more likely to do something stupid. Fine, Manon says. Saturday, my house, 10 o'clock. Oh, wonderful, I'll bring. Just you, Mom, alone. But Peter, alone or not at all. A pause, then, of course, darling. Whatever you want. Saturday morning, 9:47 a.m. Manon stands at her kitchen window watching the street. Behind her, Lucas paces like a caged animal. Aaron sits at the table, nervously shredding a napkin into tiny pieces. She'll bring him, Lucas mutters. You know she will. Then we deal with it, Manon says calmly. I still think this is a bad idea. Aaron's voice is tight. We should just cut her off completely. And then what? She keeps digging, keeps harassing people, eventually tracks down Dad and makes his life hell? Manon shakes her head. No, we need to make it crystal clear that we're done being manipulated. A black Mercedes pulls up outside. Two people get out. Called it, Lucas says grimly. Manon opens the front door before Ginny can ring the bell. Her mother stands on the doorstep, dressed in an expensive cream-colored coat, her hair freshly styled. She looks good. She always looks good, that's her superpower. But there's a tightness around her eyes that wasn't there 6 months ago. Behind her, hovering like a well-dressed shadow, stands Peter. He's younger than Manon expected. Mid-50s, maybe. Slick-back hair, designer watch, the kind of smile that says, trust me, while his hands rifle through your wallet. Manon, Ginny moves to embrace her daughter. Manon steps back. I said alone. Oh, Peter's just here for moral support. He'll wait in the car if... No, Manon's voice is ice. He won't wait in the car, he'll leave now. Peter's smile falters. I'm sorry, I don't think we've been properly intro. I know exactly who you are. Manon turns to face him fully. You're the parasite who's been feeding off my mother's delusions, the entertainment accessory she bought with my father's money. Manon, Ginny gasps. Peter's face goes red. Now listen here. No, you listen. Manon takes a step forward. Peter, to his credit, takes a step back. This is my house, my property, and you are not welcome on it, so you can take your cheap suit and your cheaper cologne and get off my lawn before I call the police. Cheap, Peter sputters. This suit cost. I don't care if it cost €1,000,000. You're still the man who helped destroy my parents' marriage. You're still the reason my father spent 2 weeks unable to get out of bed. You're still trash. Manon's eyes are blazing. Now leave before I make you. Peter looks to Ginny for support. Ginny says nothing. After a long, humiliating moment, Peter turns and walks back to the car. His shoulders are hunched. His expensive shoes click against the pavement like a retreat. Manon watches him go, feels no satisfaction, only cold determination. Inside, she tells her mother. We need to talk. The kitchen feels too small for the amount of tension it contains. Ginny perches on a stool, looking around like she's never seen the place before. Lucas leans against the counter, arms crossed. Aaron stands by the door, blocking it, though he'd never admit that's why. Manon faces her mother across the kitchen island. Why are you really here? Ginny blinks. I told you I wanted to see. Don't. Manon's voice is sharp. Don't lie to me, not anymore. You want to know where Dad is. That's the only reason you came. That's not. Where is he, you're probably thinking, and if I can find him, maybe I can stall the house sale, maybe I can create some legal complication, maybe I can squeeze a few more euros out of this disaster. Manon laughs bitterly. Did I miss anything? Ginny's mask slips. For just a moment, something ugly flashes in her eyes. You don't understand, she says. Your father left me with nothing, nothing after everything I sacrificed. What did you sacrifice, Mom? Lucas steps forward. Seriously, I'd love to know, because from where I'm standing, Dad's the one who worked 70-hour weeks while you went to spas. Dad's the one who raised us while you were. Where exactly? Book clubs, tennis lessons, Peter's bed. How dare you? The truth hurts, doesn't it? Aaron's voice is quiet but steady. We know everything, Mom, the secret bank accounts, The lies you told us about Dad filing for divorce, the way you tried to turn us against him. Ginny looks between her 3 children, and for the first time she seems to realize she's lost. I did it for us, she whispers, for our family. No, Manon shakes her head. You did it for yourself, you always have, and we're done pretending otherwise. Ginny tries tears, then anger, then guilt. None of it works. You're making a mistake, she says, finally gathering her coat. One day you'll regret this. Maybe, Manon says, but at least we'll be able to look Dad in the eye. At the door, Ginny turns back. Her face is tight with barely controlled fury. Where is he? Goodbye, Mom. Tell me where he is. I said goodbye. The door closes. Through the window, they watch Ginny storm back to the car. Peter hurries to open the door for her. She ignores him, climbs in, slams it shut. The Mercedes pulls away. Manon exhales slowly. Well, Lucas says, that was fun. I need a drink, Aaron mutters. Manon watches the empty street for a long moment. She'll be back, she says quietly. She'll never stop. Let her try. Lucas puts a hand on his sister's shoulder. We've got Dad's back now, that's all that matters. Manon nods. Touches her brother's hand. Outside, the Amsterdam sky is gray with coming rain. But inside this kitchen, surrounded by her brothers, Manon feels something she hasn't felt in months. Strength. 6 weeks into the journey. Harry has lost 12 pounds, grown a respectable beard, and developed calluses that could probably deflect small-caliber bullets. He's also pretty sure he's dying. It started 3 days ago. A headache at first, then aching joints. Then a fever that spiked so high Harry could barely remember his own name. The tick bite on his calf, the one he dismissed as nothing, just a small red mark, has bloomed into an angry red circle. A bullseye pattern that even Harry, with his limited medical knowledge, recognizes as trouble. Lyme disease, he's read about it. Never thought it would happen to him. The French hostel is called Le Refuge du Pèlerin, the Pilgrim's Refuge. It's run by Jean-Pierre and Marguerite Dubois, a retired couple in their 70s who have been hosting pilgrims for 30 years. They take one look at Harry's flushed face and shaking hands and immediately install him in their best room. You stay, Marguerite commands in heavily accented English. You rest, we take care. Harry is too weak to argue. The next week passes in a blur of antibiotics, broth, and fever dreams. Jean-Pierre drives him to the village doctor, who prescribes a course of doxycycline and strict bed rest. Marguerite brings him soup 3 times a day, fusses over his blankets, and scolds him in rapid French whenever he tries to get up too soon. It's embarrassing. It's also exactly what Harry needs. Slowly, the fever breaks. The headache fades. The angry red circle on his leg begins to shrink. By day 7, Harry can sit up without the room spinning. By day 8, he's helping Jean-Pierre with the account books. Turns out the old man's system is a mess, and Harry's engineering brain can't resist organizing it. By day 9, he's fixing a leaky faucet and rehanging a crooked door. You are good man, Jean-Pierre tells him, clapping his shoulder. Stay as long as you need. Harry smiles. For the first time in a while, he actually feels useful. Then the 3 witches arrive. That's what Harry calls them in his head anyway. 3 Dutch women in their 50s, loud and brash and radiating the kind of energy that sucks all the oxygen out of a room. They blow into the hostel on a Thursday evening, trailing expensive luggage and even more expensive complaints. The beds are too hard. The shower pressure is weak. The wine selection is provincial. Jean-Pierre and Marguerite bear it with saintly patience. Harry watches from the corner of the common room, already planning his escape. At dinner, the 3 witches commandeer the largest table. They speak Dutch among themselves, clearly assuming no one else understands. Harry, sitting 2 tables away with his bowl of soup, understands every word. Look at that one, the tallest woman says, nodding toward Harry. The sad man in the corner, what do you think his story is? Probably some loser whose wife finally got smart and left him, the second one laughs. Look at those clothes, they're swimming on him. Maybe he's homeless, the third adds. Or just doesn't bathe. More laughter. Harry's hands tighten around his spoon. The tall woman continues. Men like that, they think walking across Spain will fix whatever's broken inside them. It won't. Trust me, once a failure, always a failure. He's probably impotent, the second woman snickers. That's why his wife left, couldn't perform. They all cackle like this is the funniest thing they've ever heard. Harry sits very, very still. The old Harry, the one from 6 months ago, would have stood up. Would have walked over, would have unleashed every ounce of his pain and fury on these cruel, thoughtless women. But that Harry is gone, or maybe he's just quieter now. Because as the insults wash over him, Harry realizes something surprising. They don't hurt. Not really. These women don't know him. They don't know what he's survived, what he's lost, what he's fighting to rebuild. Their words are just noise, background static, less painful than a stubbed toe. He's been through worse, so much worse. What's a little mockery compared to that? Harry finishes his soup. He stands, carries his bowl to the kitchen, and thanks Marguerite for the meal. "Are you all right?" She asks quietly, glancing toward the loud table. "Those women, they are unhappy," Harry says simply. "That's all." Marguerite studies his face, then smiles. "You are wise man, Harry. I'm learning." That night, Harry lies in his bunk listening to the witches drink and cackle in the common room below. Their voices carry through the thin floor, harsh, bitter, full of complaints about ex-husbands and ungrateful children and a world that doesn't appreciate them. Harry recognizes that bitterness. He used to carry it himself. Still does some days, but he's learning to set it down. One of the women laughs particularly loudly, a sharp, mocking sound, and Harry catches a glimpse of her face through the stairwell. Tall, slim, dark hair shot through with gray. Pretty once, maybe, now just hard. She's the cruelest of the three. Harry wonders what made her that way. What happened to twist someone into knots so tight they can only find relief in hurting others? Then he stops wondering because it's not his business and closes his eyes. Tomorrow he leaves, early, before they wake. He's done with poison. He's walking towards something better. 4:47 a.m. Harry slips out of the hostel in the pre-dawn darkness. His backpack is packed. His legs are steady. The antibiotics have done their work. He leaves a note for Jean-Pierre and Marguerite, thanking them, promising to send a postcard from Santiago, and steps out into the cool morning air. The road waits. Harry follows it. Behind him, the hostel windows glow faintly orange. Inside, 3 unhappy women sleep off their wine, dreaming whatever dreams unhappy people dream. Harry doesn't look back. The storm comes out of nowhere. One minute, Harry is walking through a peaceful mountain forest near the Swiss border. The sun is filtering through the canopy. Birds are singing. Everything is fine. The next minute, the sky turns black. Harry has maybe 30 seconds of warning. A sudden drop in temperature. A gust of wind that shakes the treetops. The birds going silent all at once, like someone flipped a switch. Then the rain hits. Not rain, a waterfall, a biblical deluge that soaks Harry to the bone before he can even reach for his poncho. Thunder crashes overhead so loud it rattles his teeth. Lightning splits the sky, turning everything white. Harry runs. He finds shelter by pure luck, a rock formation jutting out from the hillside, creating a natural overhang. It's not much, maybe 6 feet deep, 8 feet wide, but it's dry or dryish, good enough. Harry ducks under the overhang, shrugging off his pack. His hands are shaking from cold, from adrenaline, from the sheer primal terror of being caught in a mountain storm. But he's alive, and he's out of the rain, time to make the best of it. Within 20 minutes, Harry has transformed the space. His tarp, a lightweight but sturdy piece of gear he's been carrying since day one, is rigged across the opening, blocking most of the wind and spray. His small camp stove is heating water for tea. A fire, carefully built from dry wood he found deeper under the overhang, crackles cheerfully in a ring of stones. Harry wraps himself in his emergency blanket and sips his tea, watching the storm rage beyond his little sanctuary. It's actually kind of beautiful. In a terrifying, nature-will-kill-you sort of way, that's when he hears the footsteps, stumbling, uneven, getting closer. Harry peers out through a gap in the tarp. Through the curtain of rain, he sees a figure on the trail below, staggering. Weaving, about to collapse, he doesn't hesitate. Harry plunges into the rain, catches the falling figure, and half carries, half drags them back to shelter. It's not until they're under the overhang in the flickering firelight that he sees who it is. The tall witch. The cruelest one from the hostel. Oh, the irony, she's in bad shape. Her clothes are soaked through, her lips blue with cold. She's shaking so hard her teeth chatter. Hypothermia, Harry thinks, or close to it. "Can you hear me?" he asks, in Dutch. Her eyes snap open. Recognition floods her face, followed immediately by horror. "You," she whispers, "the man from the hostel." "Yes," Harry says calmly. "Now let's get you warm before you die." The next hour is all business. Harry wraps the woman in his emergency blanket, then his spare fleece, then positions her as close to the fire as safely possible. He heats water, forces her to drink tea, keeps her talking to prevent her from slipping into shock. Her name, it turns out, is Vera. She's 53, Dutch, a businesswoman, or was before she sold her company. Now well, she doesn't know what she is. That's part of why she's here walking across Europe, running away from something, Harry suspects, just like him. As the hours pass and Vera's shivering subsides, the atmosphere in the shelter shifts. She keeps glancing at Harry with an expression he can't quite read. Guilt, maybe, or confusion, or both. Finally, she speaks. "You understood everything we said at the hostel." It's not a question. "Yes," Harry says, "and you still..." She gestures at the fire, the tea, the blankets wrapped around her. "You still helped me. You needed help. But I was terrible to you. The things I said were hurtful," Harry agrees. "But you didn't know me. You made assumptions based on pain you're carrying. I've done the same thing." He shrugs. "It doesn't make it right, but it makes it human." Vera stares at him for a long moment. Then, to Harry's surprise, she starts to cry. The whole story comes pouring out. Her ex-husband. The affair with a woman half his age, barely older than their son. The humiliation of finding out from a friend who saw them at a restaurant. The divorce that cost Vera her family, her trust, her belief that any man could be decent. "I hate them all now," Vera says bitterly. "Men, every time I see one, I think, what's he hiding? Who's he hurting?" Harry nods slowly. "My wife left me for a younger man too, cleaned out our accounts, turned our children against me." Vera looks up sharply. "And you don't hate women?" "I hated her," Harry admits. "For a while, but hating her was like drinking poison and expecting her to die. It didn't hurt her, just me." The fire crackles between them. Outside, the storm begins to fade. They talk until midnight about marriages, about betrayal, about the long, slow process of learning to trust again or wondering if you ever will. At some point, Vera asks, "Are you gay?" Harry blinks. "What?" "On the trail, you never looked at any women, not the pilgrims, not the locals. Even now, you've been a perfect gentleman." She gestures at herself, wrapped in his blankets, vulnerable. "Most men would have tried something. Most men haven't learned what I've learned," Harry says quietly, "about what matters, about what doesn't. And what matters?" Harry thinks about his children, about Miranda and Giles, about the sunrise over Luxembourg and the long roads he's walked. "Connection," he says finally. "Real connection, not possession, not conquest, just two people seeing each other clearly." Vera is silent for a long moment. Then, "Can I walk with you? Tomorrow, I mean, or whenever this storm stops?" Harry hesitates. He likes Vera. Now that the armor is down, he can see the person underneath. Wounded, yes, but also intelligent, honest, searching. Someone he might have been friends with in another life. But he's not ready, not yet. "I need to do this alone," he says gently. "At least for now, I hope you understand." Vera's face falls, but she nods. "I understand." They sleep on opposite sides of the fire. When Harry wakes at dawn, the storm is over. Sunlight streams through gaps in the tarp. Birds are singing again. Vera is still asleep, curled in his blankets, her face peaceful for the first time since he's known her. Harry quietly packs his things, but before he goes, he leaves his tarp and his spare sleeping bag beside her. She'll need them more than he will. She's clearly not prepared for camping, and the trails ahead can be harsh. He's almost to the trail when he hears her voice behind him. "Harry." He turns. Vera stands at the edge of the overhang, wrapped in his fleece, looking younger somehow. Softer, she walks toward him, stops too close. And before Harry can react, she rises on her toes and kisses him. It's brief, soft, more question than statement. When she pulls back, her eyes are searching his face. "I hope we meet again," she says quietly. "And when we do, I hope you'll give me a chance to prove I'm not the woman you saw at that hostel." Harry's heart is beating faster than it has in years. "If we're meant to meet again," he says, "we will." Vera smiles, a real smile, not the bitter mask she wore before. "Goodbye, Harry." "Goodbye, Vera." Harry walks away. He doesn't look back. But as he follows the trail deeper into the mountains, he touches his lips where her kiss still lingers. Something has shifted. Something small but important. For the first time since Ginny, Harry wonders if maybe, just maybe, his heart isn't as dead as he thought. The road stretches on. Harry follows it. But now, for the first time, he's curious who else might be walking the same way. Seyssel, France, a small town on the Rhône River. Harry walks into the campsite restaurant at 6:47 p.m., tired and hungry and thinking about nothing more complicated than a hot meal and a cold beer. Then he sees her. Vera is sitting at a corner table, watching the door. When their eyes meet, she stands up slowly, nervously, like she's not sure of her welcome. Harry stops dead in his tracks. "Hello, Harry." For a long moment, neither of them moves. The restaurant buzzes around them, other pilgrims eating, laughing, sharing stories of the road. But Harry hears none of it. His entire world has narrowed to the woman standing 20 feet away. Vera, his voice comes out rough. How did you? You said you were heading toward Geneva. She takes a tentative step forward. I calculated your route, figured you'd pass through here eventually. A small, uncertain smile. I've been waiting 3 days. 3 days, Harry processes this. She waited 3 days for him. Why? Vera's smile falters. Because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Because I behaved terribly and you were kind anyway. Because, she pauses, takes a breath. Because I wanted to see if maybe we could try again. The last words come out as a question, hopeful, vulnerable. Harry looks at this woman, this complicated, wounded, surprisingly brave woman, and feels something loosen in his chest. Have you eaten? He asks. What? Dinner? Have you eaten dinner? Vera blinks, thrown by the question. No, I was waiting for you. Harry nods. Walks to her table, sits down. Then let's eat, he says, and talk. They talk for 4 hours. The restaurant empties around them. The staff starts stacking chairs and sweeping floors. Harry and Vera don't notice. They're too busy discovering each other. It's different this time. In the storm shelter, they'd shared trauma, 2 wounded people comparing scars. But now, with the pressure off and the defenses down, they share something more, themselves. Vera tells him about her childhood in Rotterdam, about building her company from nothing, about the son she barely sees anymore because his father poisoned him against her. Harry tells her about his dreams of being an architect, abandoned for practicality, about the joy of raising his children, about the small moments that made 42 years of marriage worthwhile, even if the ending was rotten. They laugh. They argue about books. Vera prefers thrillers. Harry likes historical fiction. They discover they both love jazz and hate modern art and think coffee after dinner is civilization's greatest achievement. By the time the waiter politely kicks them out, something has shifted between them. Not quite love, not yet, but the foundation for it. I rented a caravan, Vera says as they walk through the campsite. It's small, but there's room for 2 if you want. Harry considers this. The smart thing would be to decline, keep his distance, protect himself. But Harry is tired of being smart. He's tired of being careful. He's walked hundreds of kilometers to find himself, and what he's found is a man who's been too afraid to live. Lead the way, he says. The caravan is indeed small. A bed, a tiny kitchen, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But it's warm and dry and private, and when Vera puts on soft music and pours 2 glasses of wine, it feels like the most romantic place in the world. They sit on the bed, the only place to sit and talk until 3 a.m., about hopes, about fears, about what comes next. I want to walk with you, Vera says finally, all the way to Santiago and beyond if you'll have me. You know it won't be easy. I know. The roads are hard, the weather can be brutal, my knees hurt every morning and my back hurts every night. I know. And I'm not, Harry hesitates. I'm not the same man I was before Ginny. I'm more guarded, more afraid of getting hurt. Vera sets down her wine glass, takes his hand. Harry, she says softly, I'm not asking for guarantees. I'm asking for a chance, just a chance. He looks at their intertwined fingers, at this woman who tracked him across France just to say she was sorry. Okay, he says. We walk together. The next morning, they set out as companions. The road from Seyssel to Valence is roughly 200 kilometers through some of the most beautiful countryside in France. Rolling hills give way to vineyards. Medieval villages perch on hillsides like something from a fairy tale. The autumn sun is warm without being hot, perfect walking weather. Harry finds himself smiling more than he has in years. Having Vera beside him changes everything. The loneliness that had been his constant companion evaporates. Now there's someone to share the view with, someone to complain to when his feet hurt. Someone to laugh with when they get lost, which happens more often than either of them wants to admit. They fall into an easy rhythm, walk in the mornings, rest during the hot afternoons, walk again as evening approaches. Share meals, share stories, share silence when silence feels right. It's not perfect. Vera snores, something she vehemently denies despite all evidence. Harry tends to walk too fast, then has to wait impatiently for her to catch up. They bicker about directions and argue about where to stop for lunch. But even the friction feels good, feels real, feels like the beginning of something worth having. A week into their journey together, Harry's phone rings. He glances at the screen. Giles. "Do you mind?" he asks Vera. They're resting under an olive tree, sharing bread and cheese. "Take it, I'll guard the brie." Harry smiles, answers the call. "Giles, what's happening?" "Harry," Giles's voice is jubilant. "I have excellent news. The court ruled in your favor, completely." Harry sits up straighter. "What do you mean?" "The house sale. The judge forced Ginny to accept the 1.6 million offer. And because she deliberately delayed the proceedings, he ruled that she only gets her share of the original asking price. The difference, plus back rent for the month she stalled, goes to you." Harry does the math. That's an extra 200,000 euros at least. That's incredible. It gets better. Giles is practically giddy. "Remember Peter, Ginny's charming boyfriend?" "Unfortunately, turns out our suspicions were correct. The AIVD Dutch intelligence arrested him outside the courthouse. Industrial espionage charges from years ago. They've been building a case, and when he showed up in public..." Harry laughs. He can't help it. After everything Peter put him through, the smugness, the scheming, the way he looked at Harry like he was already beaten, to hear that he's been arrested by intelligence services is deeply, deeply satisfying. "Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy," he says. "My thoughts exactly." Anyway, the practical upshot is, you're financially secure, Ginny can't touch you anymore, and the man who helped ruin your life is facing prison time. I'd say that's a good Tuesday. After the call ends, Harry sits quietly for a moment, processing. It's over. The legal nightmare, the financial uncertainty, it's finally over. He can stop worrying about money, stop looking over his shoulder. Start planning for an actual future. Vera touches his arm. "Good news," Harry turns to her. In the dappled light under the olive tree, with her hair loose and her eyes warm, she's beautiful. Not young beautiful, but something better, real beautiful. The beauty of a person who's lived and suffered and come out the other side still willing to try. "Very good news," he says. "I'll tell you everything, but first..." He cups her face in his hands, kisses her softly. "Thank you," he murmurs against her lips. "For what?" "For coming back, for giving me a reason to care about good news again." 3 nights before Valence, a storm catches them in open country. They barely get the tent up before the rain hits. A torrential downpour that turns the world gray and loud. Lightning flashes, thunder rolls across the hills like cannon fire. Inside the tiny 2-person tent, Harry and Vera huddle together, listening to the chaos outside. "This is insane," Vera laughs, shaking water from her hair. "We're going to drown. The tent's waterproof, supposedly." "Supposedly? Well, I've never actually tested it in conditions like this." As if on cue, a small leak appears in the corner. They both stare at it, then at each other, then burst out laughing. "We're idiots," Vera says. "2 middle-aged idiots playing Pilgrim in a thunderstorm." "The best idiots," Harry agrees. Their eyes meet. The laughter fades into something else. Later, Harry won't remember who moved first. What he'll remember is the feeling of her in his arms. The warmth of her skin against his. The way she said his name, not like a question this time, but like an answer. The storm rages outside. Inside the tent, 2 people who thought they'd forgotten how to love discover they haven't forgotten anything at all. Valence. A sunny afternoon in late September. Harry and Vera walk hand in hand down a tree-lined road toward a charming villa on the outskirts of town. Somewhere inside, Harry's children are waiting to throw him a surprise 66th birthday party. Not that it's much of a surprise. Manon accidentally let it slip during their last video call. But Harry's pretending not to know because he loves his daughter and doesn't want to ruin her plans. "You're sure they'll like me?" Vera asks for the 10th time. "They'll love you. But what if..." "Vera..." Harry stops, turns to face her. "My children know I've been through hell. They know I deserve some happiness. When they see that you make me happy, they'll welcome you with open arms." "You really believe that?" "I know it." He squeezes her hand. They walk on. The villa erupts in chaos when they arrive. "Surprise!" Manon rushes out first, throwing her arms around Harry. Lucas follows, then Aaron, then a flood of grandchildren Harry hasn't seen in months. Miranda and Giles appear in the doorway, beaming. Harry is laughing and crying at the same time. His family, his wonderful, impossible, perfectly imperfect family, is here, all of them together. Then they notice Vera. A brief silence falls. Everyone stares at the tall, elegant woman holding Harry's hand. Harry clears his throat. "Everyone, this is Vera. She's been walking with me since France. He glances at her, smiles. "She's important to me." Manon is the first to react. She steps forward, studies Vera with the frank assessment of a protective daughter, then extends her hand. "Thank you for taking care of my father," she says. "He tends to forget to eat when he's alone." Vera takes the hand. "He does. I've been working on that." A beat. Then Manon laughs and pulls Vera into a hug. "Welcome to the family." The birthday party is everything Harry didn't know he needed. There's cake. There's champagne. There's a terrifying moment when his grandchildren force him to dance to some pop song he's never heard of. There's Giles pulling him aside to deliver more details about the legal victory, and Miranda cornering Vera to interrogate her about her intentions. But mostly, there's love. Harry sits in the garden as evening falls, surrounded by the people who matter most. His children are here. His best friends are here. And Vera, this unexpected gift he never asked for, is here, laughing at something Aaron said, fitting into his family like she's always belonged. He's 66 years old. A year ago, he thought his life was over. Now it's just beginning. The Pyrenees loom ahead like a wall. Harry has been dreading this part of the journey. The crossing from France into Spain is notoriously difficult. Steep climbs, unpredictable weather, trails that would challenge someone half his age. But he's not worried about himself anymore. He's worried about Vera. The trouble starts small. On their second day out of Valence, Vera develops blisters. Not unusual for pilgrims, but hers are bad, angry red welts on both heels that make her wince with every step. "I'm fine," she insists when Harry asks if they should rest. "You're limping." "I'm fine." By day 4, the blisters have become infected. Harry finally convinces her to see a doctor in a small mountain village who prescribes antibiotics and bed rest. 2 days, the doctor says. Minimum, they stay for 3. Vera is restless the entire time, frustrated by her own weakness. "I'm slowing us down," she says on their last night. "You should have gone ahead. Don't be ridiculous." "I mean it, Harry. You've been training for this for months. I just showed up. I'm not ready for this kind of journey." Harry sits beside her on the narrow hostel bed. "We're not in a race." "There's no deadline." "But there is." Vera's voice is small. "You want to reach Santiago before winter. Every day I hold us back is a day closer to bad weather. Then we deal with bad weather together." She doesn't look convinced. The Lapai route is beautiful and brutal. Ancient paths wind through mountains and valleys. Tiny villages cling to hillsides, their stone churches centuries old. The landscape is breathtaking when you have breath to spare. Harry, who's been walking for nearly 3 months now, handles the terrain well. His body has adapted. His legs are strong. His lungs know the rhythm of the climb. Vera struggles. Every day is a battle. Her knees swell. Her back aches. The blisters return worse than before. She pushes through, determined not to complain, but Harry can see the toll it's taking. At night, in whatever hostel or guest house they've found, Vera often excuses herself to shower. Harry has learned that shower means cry in private. He doesn't mention it. He's not sure what he'd say if he did. The crossing into Spain is a nightmare. They attempt it on a day that starts sunny but turns savage. Halfway up the mountain pass, fog rolls in so thick they can barely see 5 feet ahead. The temperature drops. Rain begins to fall, cold, stinging, relentless. Harry has done hard things in his life. This is harder, but he keeps walking, 1 foot in front of the other, the same way he's been walking for 3 months. When he reaches the summit and turns to check on Vera, she's 50 meters behind, doubled over with her hands on her knees. He goes back for her. "I can't," she gasps. "I can't do this." "Yes, you can. We're almost there." "No," she shakes her head violently. "No, Harry, this was a mistake. I'm not strong enough. I'm not." "Vera." He takes her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Listen to me. We are going to finish this climb together. Then we are going to find a warm bed and hot food. And tomorrow we're going to figure out how to make this work, okay?" She stares at him. Rain runs down her cheeks, or maybe tears, he can't tell. "Okay," she whispers. They make it to the Spanish side as night falls. The first town they reach is little more than a handful of buildings, but there's a small inn with vacancies. Harry all but carries Vera through the door. The innkeeper takes one look at them, soaked, exhausted, shivering, and immediately starts heating water for baths. "Pilgrims?" she asks in accented English. "Pilgrims," Harry confirms. The woman nods knowingly. "The mountain claims many." "You survived, that is something." Later, in their small room, Vera finally breaks. Harry is checking the weather forecast for tomorrow when he hears it, a small, broken sound from the bathroom. He finds her sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, crying. Vera, don't, she holds up a hand. Don't try to make this better. Harry sits down beside her. The tile is cold. He doesn't care. Talk to me, he says quietly. It takes a long time, but eventually the words come. I'm not like you, Vera says. You're strong. You've been walking for months. You've got this. This inner steel that keeps you going no matter what. She wipes her eyes angrily. I thought I had that too. I ran a company. I survived a divorce. I thought I was tough. You are tough. I'm not. The words explode out of her. I'm weak and pathetic, and I've been pretending otherwise because I didn't want you to see. But every single day I wake up and my body screams at me to stop. And every single day I force myself to keep going because I don't want to disappoint you. And I can't. Her voice breaks. I can't keep doing this, Harry. I'm breaking. The confession hangs in the air. Harry thinks about the past 2 weeks. About all the times Vera said she was fine when she clearly wasn't. About the hidden tears and the forced smiles and the way she pushed herself to collapse rather than admit she was struggling. He should have seen it sooner. I'm sorry, he says. What? I've been so focused on reaching Santiago that I forgot why I started this journey in the first place. It wasn't about the destination. It was about healing, finding peace. He takes her hand. If reaching Santiago means destroying you in the process, then Santiago can wait. Vera stares at him. You don't mean that. I absolutely mean it. He squeezes her fingers. We slow down. We take rest days when we need them. We stay in real hotels with real beds, not hostels with bunk beds designed for 20-year-olds. And if it takes us twice as long to reach the end, so what? I'd rather walk slow with you than walk fast alone. For a long moment, Vera doesn't respond. Then she leans into him, rests her head on his shoulder, and cries, but differently now, not with despair, with relief. Thank you, she whispers. They stay in that village for 3 days. Vera rests. Harry explores, brings back local delicacies, reads to her from a Spanish novel he found in the inn's library. They play cards, they talk. They simply exist together without the pressure of kilometers and schedules. On the 4th morning, Vera wakes up smiling. I think I'm ready, she says. You're sure? No, she laughs softly. But I want to try, just at my pace this time, not yours. Harry kisses her forehead. Your pace is perfect. They pack their bags, step out into the cool Spanish morning, and begin walking again, slower now, gentler, but together. The road to Santiago still stretches ahead, but for the first time it feels achievable. Galicia in autumn is supposed to be mild. This year, Galicia in autumn is a nightmare. The rain starts 3 days before Santiago and doesn't stop. Not a gentle drizzle, a relentless, soaking, bone-chilling deluge that turns every path to mud and every river to flood. Harry and Vera slog through it day after day, their waterproof gear no match for this kind of assault. Everything is wet. Their clothes, their packs, their spirits. Vera stops talking first. It's subtle at first. Shorter answers, longer silences. Harry chalks it up to exhaustion. They're both exhausted, after all. But as the days grind on, he realizes it's something worse. She's retreating inside herself, building walls, shutting him out. We could take a bus, Harry suggests on day 5. Just for a stretch, get out of this weather. No. Vera, there's no shame in. I said no. Her voice is flat, lifeless. We walk or we don't. Those are the rules. There are no rules. Then I'm making them. She walks on. Harry follows, unease coiling in his gut. The night before Santiago, they stay in a tiny pilgrim hostel. The place is packed, dozens of wet, miserable travelers crammed into too few beds. The air smells of damp wool and despair. Someone is coughing constantly. Someone else is arguing about stolen food. Harry tries to get Vera to eat. She refuses. He tries to get her to talk. She refuses. He tries to hold her. She pushes him away. Just leave me alone, she says. I need to sleep. But she doesn't sleep. Harry knows because he doesn't either. He lies awake listening to the rain pound the roof, listening to Vera's breathing. Too shallow, too fast, the breathing of someone fighting a battle no one else can see. In the morning, her eyes are red-rimmed and empty. Let's just finish this, she says. They reach Santiago de Compostela at 2:17 p.m. The cathedral looms before them, its ancient spires reaching toward a gray sky. The plaza is crowded with pilgrims, some cheering, some crying, some simply standing in stunned silence at the end of their journey. Harry feels a wave of emotion crash over him. He did it. After everything, the divorce, the depression, the endless kilometers, he actually did it. He walked from the Netherlands to the heart of Spain. He proved to himself that he's not finished, not broken, not done. He turns to share the moment with Vera. She's not there. He finds her standing apart from the crowd, staring at the cathedral with an expression he can't read. Vera, he approaches carefully. We made it, we're here. No response. Vera, look at me, please, she turns, and Harry sees something in her eyes that makes his blood run cold. Emptiness. Complete, utter emptiness. Congratulations, she says. The word sounds like a curse. What's wrong? Nothing, she laughs, a horrible, hollow sound. Nothing's wrong, we're here, the famous Santiago, the goal of all our suffering. Are you happy now? Harry reaches for her hand. I thought we'd celebrate together, get some food, find a nice hotel. Stop. The word cracks across the plaza like a whip. Nearby pilgrims turn to stare. Vera steps back from Harry, her face contorting. Stop pretending, she hisses. Stop acting like this is some beautiful journey. It's not, it's torture. It's been torture for weeks. My body is destroyed, my mind is broken, and for what? She gestures wildly at the cathedral. For a church, a stamp, and a book. Vera, I should never have come. The words pour out of her now, unstoppable. I should have stayed home where I belong. Instead, I followed you across a continent because I thought, she chokes. Tears stream down her face. I thought I could be someone different, someone brave, someone worthy of a man like you, but I'm not, Harry. I'm weak and pathetic, and I've spent this entire journey pretending otherwise while you dragged me through rain and mud, and I never dragged you anywhere. You didn't have to, she's screaming now, completely beyond reason. I did it to myself, because I wanted you to love me, and now I realize it was all for nothing because I hate this, Harry. I hate this journey, and I hate this weather, and I hate. She stops, swallows. I hate you. The words hang in the air. Harry feels them land like physical blows, each one a knife to the chest. You don't mean that, he whispers. I do. Vera's voice has gone cold, distant. I can't do this anymore. I can't be what you need. I'm going home. Vera, please, you're exhausted. You're not thinking clearly. Let's just find somewhere to rest and talk about. There's nothing to talk about. She shoulders her pack. Goodbye, Harry. She walks away. Harry stands frozen for 3 seconds, then he runs after her. Vera, Vera. She doesn't stop, doesn't turn. He catches her arm outside the train station. Please, just listen to me. I know you're hurting. I know this journey pushed you past your limits, but we can figure this out. We can. Vera yanks her arm free. No, she says, we can't. She disappears into the station. Harry follows, watches her buy a ticket at the machine, watches her walk toward the platform. Vera! She reaches the train, boards it, finds a seat by the window. Harry presses his hand against the glass. Please, he mouths. Please don't go. Vera looks at him. For one moment, something flickers in her eyes, doubt, regret, love, then it's gone. Goodbye, Harry, she says, the train doors close. The train pulls away. Harry watches until it disappears into the rain. That night, alone in a Santiago hotel, Harry experiences what he can only describe as a kind of death. Not physical, but something inside him dies anyway. He lies on the bed, a nice bed the kind Vera wanted, and stares at the ceiling. Around him, the city celebrates. Pilgrims laugh and sing in the streets. Church bells ring. Life goes on. Harry doesn't move. The thoughts come dark and relentless. What's the point? Why did you think you deserved happiness? You're 66 years old. You're alone. Again. Always. The St. Christopher medal hangs cold against his chest. A gift from his children, a reminder of their love, but even that feels distant now, like something that happened to someone else a long time ago. Morning comes gray and wet. Harry hasn't slept. He sits up slowly, feeling every one of his 66 years in his aching bones. On the nightstand, his pilgrim passport lies open, full of stamps. Full of memories, full of proof that he walked 1,000 kilometers through joy and pain and everything in between. He picks it up, looks at the final entry. Santiago de Compostela, the end of the official Camino, but not the end of his journey. There's still Finisterre, the ancient end of the world. The place where pilgrims traditionally burn their walking shoes to symbolize the death of their old selves and the birth of something new. Harry doesn't know if he believes in symbolism, but he knows he's not ready to stop walking. Not yet. He stands, packs his bag, turns off his phone. He can't face his children's questions, not now. And then Harry Van der Berg walks out into the rain, alone, heading for the edge of the earth. The train rocks gently as it carries Vera south toward Madrid. She sits in a window seat, staring at the passing landscape without seeing it. Her tears have dried. Her rage has faded. In their place is something worse. Regret. It hits her somewhere around the 3-hour mark. Not gradually all at once like a wall collapsing. What did I do? She replays the scene in Santiago, her words, his face. The way he looked at her like she'd physically stabbed him. I hate you. She said that. She actually said that. To Harry, kind, patient, wonderful Harry, who carried her pack when she was tired and made her laugh when she wanted to cry and loved her despite everything. What did I do? Vera's phone buzzes. She ignores it. It buzzes again and again. Finally, hands shaking, she checks the screen. Manon, Harry's daughter. Vera answers before she can talk herself out of it. Hello. Vera, oh thank God. Manon's voice is bright, excited. Dad's phone is off and we've been trying to reach you both. Are you in Santiago? Did he do it? Did he propose? The world stops. What? The proposal? Dad told me weeks ago. He's been carrying a ring the whole journey. He wanted to ask you in front of the cathedral when you arrived. Please tell me it was romantic. Was there crying? I bet there was crying. Vera can't breathe. A ring. Harry had a ring. He was going to propose, and she told him she hated him. Vera, are you there? Is everything okay? No. The word comes out as a sob. Manon, I've made a terrible mistake. The next hour is the worst of Vera's life. She tells Manon everything, the breakdown, the cruel words, the train. Manon's reaction evolves from confusion to disbelief to cold fury. You left him, her voice shakes. You left my father alone in Santiago after everything he's been through? I wasn't thinking. I was exhausted and depressed and, I don't care. Manon is crying now. Do you have any idea what he went through after Ginny? He nearly didn't survive it, and now you've done the same thing, abandoned him when he was at his most vulnerable. The truth of it hits Vera like a truck. She abandoned him, just like Ginny. I have to fix this, she whispers. How? You're on a train going the wrong direction? Then I get off the train. Vera gets off at the next station. It takes 4 hours to get back to Santiago. By then, Harry is gone. Nobody knows where. His phone is off. The hotel says he checked out that morning. Vera stands in the plaza, surrounded by celebrating pilgrims, and has never felt more alone. Then she remembers Finisterre. Harry talked about it once early in their journey, the traditional end of the Camino, the place where you burn your boots and watch the sun set over the Atlantic. If I ever finish this walk, he'd said, that's where I want to be at the end, standing at the edge of the world looking out at infinity. Vera rents a car. Meanwhile, on the road to Finisterre, Harry walks like a man in a trance. The landscape blurs around him. Green hills, stone walls, eucalyptus forests fragrant with rain. He registers none of it. He simply walks, 1 foot in front of the other, the same way he's been walking for 3 months. Except now there's no joy in it. No purpose. Just the mechanical motion of a body that hasn't figured out it should stop. On the second day, he meets Father Clemens. The Dominican friar is walking the same direction, moving slowly with a wooden staff and an enormous backpack. He's small and weathered, with kind eyes and a gray beard that would make a wizard jealous. You look troubled, my friend, Clemens observes. Harry laughs bitterly. That's one word for it. Would you like company? The road is long and my feet appreciate any excuse to rest. Against his better judgment, Harry agrees. They walk together for 2 days. Clemens doesn't pry. He shares stories instead about his monastery, about the pilgrims he's met over the years, about his own crisis of faith. I fell in love, he admits on their first evening, sharing wine by a small fire. With a woman in my order, a nun. It was inconvenient. What did you do? I'm still figuring that out. Clemens smiles sadly. I left the monastery to think, to walk, to pray. He gestures at the road ahead. The Camino has a way of providing answers, or at least better questions. Harry stares into the fire, thinks about Vera, about the look in her eyes before she said those terrible words. She didn't mean it, he says quietly. What she said, I know she didn't. Then why does it hurt so much? Because I wanted her to mean something else, something better, Harry's voice catches. I was going to ask her to marry me. Clemens is quiet for a moment. In times of great suffering, he says finally, good people sometimes do terrible things. Fear speaks louder than love. Pain drowns out wisdom. He meets Harry's eyes. But here's what I've learned in 60 years of watching human hearts. Love that's real doesn't die easily. It bends, it breaks, but if it's true, it finds a way back. You really believe that? I have to, Clemens smiles. It's the only thing that makes life bearable. Finisterre, the end of the world. Harry arrives at sunset on his 7th day out of Santiago. The cliffs rise dramatic and wild, plunging into an ocean that stretches to infinity. A lighthouse stands sentinel on the highest point. The 0 km marker, the official end of the Camino, gleams in the fading light. Harry and Clemens stand together at the edge. "We made it," Clemens says softly. "We did." Harry pulls off his hiking boots, worn thin, barely holding together after 1,000 kilometers. According to tradition, he should burn them here. Release the old, embrace the new. He's reaching for his lighter when Clemens touches his arm. "Wait! What is it?" Clemens is looking back toward the road, a strange smile playing on his lips. "I believe you have a visitor." Harry turns, and there, running toward him across the rocky ground, is Vera. She's sobbing, gasping for breath. Her hair is wild, her clothes are rumpled, and she looks like she hasn't slept in days. She's the most beautiful thing Harry has ever seen. "Harry," she collapses at his feet, unable to say more, just crying his name over and over. "Harry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean any of it. Please, please forgive me." Harry drops to his knees beside her. "I already have," he whispers. He pulls her into his arms, holds her as she weeps against his chest. Feels his own tears come finally after days of holding them back. The sun sinks toward the horizon. The sky blazes orange and pink and gold, and at the end of the world, two broken people find each other again. Later, when the tears have stopped and the sun has set and Clemens has tactfully wandered off to give them privacy, Harry reaches into his jacket pocket. "I was going to do this in Santiago," he says, "in front of the cathedral with the bells ringing and the crowds cheering, but I think this is better." He opens his palm. In it lies a ring. White gold, simple and elegant, set with a single pink tourmaline that catches the last light of day. "Vera," his voice is steady now, certain. "I've walked 1,000 kilometers to get here. I've lost a wife, found my children, and learned more about myself than I ever wanted to know. But the most important thing I discovered on this journey is that I don't want to walk alone anymore." He takes her hand. "Will you be my companion for the rest of the road, however long it lasts?" Vera looks at the ring, looks at Harry, looks at the ocean stretching endless behind them. "Yes," she whispers. "Yes, yes, yes." The ring slides onto her finger like it was made to be there, because it was. Epilogue 1 year later. The Huveland 4-day march is in full swing. Thousands of walkers stream through the Dutch countryside, their medals gleaming in the autumn sun. Among them, Harry, Vera, and the entire Van der Berg clan. Manon walks with her father, arm in arm. Lucas carries his youngest on his shoulders. Aaron's wife pushes a stroller while Aaron himself jogs back and forth, pretending to be exhausted while his daughter giggles. They're almost at the finish line when a figure appears at the edge of the crowd. Ginny. She looks diminished somehow, older. Her expensive clothes can't hide the loneliness in her eyes or the desperation in her smile. "Harry," she steps forward. "Children, I was hoping we could." "What are you doing here, Mother?" Manon's voice is cold. "I wanted to see you, all of you." "I thought maybe we could talk." Her eyes land on Vera, on the ring on Vera's finger. On the way, Harry's arm is wrapped protectively around his new wife. Something ugly flickers across Ginny's face. "So this is what you left me for," she sneers. "A second-hand woman to warm your bed." The family goes silent. Vera steps forward. Her voice is calm, steady, utterly unafraid. "I'm going to say this once," she says. "You don't get to insult me, you don't get to play the victim. You threw away a good man for a criminal and now you're alone. That's not Harry's fault. That's not my fault. That's yours." Ginny opens her mouth to respond. "Grandmother," a new voice, young but strong. Nikki, Aaron's 16-year-old daughter, who used to be named after her grandmother, pushes through the family circle to face Ginny directly. "I changed my name," Nikki says. "Did you know that? I couldn't stand sharing it with you anymore, not after what you did to Grandpa, not after the lies you told." Ginny's face goes pale. "Nikki, my name is Emma now." The girl's chin lifts. "And I think you should leave, before you embarrass yourself any more than you already have." The silence that follows is devastating. Ginny looks around at her family, the family she tried to manipulate, tried to control, tried to turn against each other, and she sees only unity, only love, only a wall she cannot breach. Without another word, she turns and walks away. Nobody calls after her. Later at the celebration dinner, Harry stands to make a toast. "1 year ago," he says, "I was a broken man. I'd lost my wife, my home, my savings, and I thought my children. I didn't know if I wanted to keep living." He pauses, looks around the table at the faces he loves. "Then I went for a walk." Laughter ripples through the group. "It was a very long walk," Harry continues, smiling. And somewhere along the way, I found something I thought I'd lost forever, hope. Hope for the future, hope for happiness, hope that the best parts of life might still be ahead of me, not behind. He raises his glass toward Vera. To second chances, he says, to new beginnings, to love that finds you when you've stopped looking. To love, the family echoes, glasses clink, wine flows. Laughter fills the air. And Harry Van der Berg, 67 years old, twice married, infinitely blessed, looks at the family he built, the woman he loves, and the life he almost threw away, and feels something he hasn't felt in a very long time. Complete.